Here come the balloons. We chose balloons because we were thinking of an airy and light-hearted movie.
Well, I'm Eric Darnell.
And I'm Tom McGrath. We're the co-directors of this movie. They say talking about film is like dancing about architecture, but we'll do our best.
Comes Marty, the voice of Chris Rock, doing a Tarzan yell. We actually found some original Tarzan yells and played them for Chris. Of course, even the original Tarzan yells were manufactured. Nobody could actually do that.
Yeah, not even Johnny Weissmuller. I think he might have, but it was all edited.
Right.
Chris did his best, and it came out pretty funny.
Very funny.
Ben also does it a little later on, which is quite a challenge to do.
It's always fun doing slow motion and computer animation because it has to be animated in slow motion. It's not like we animate it at normal speed and then slow it down. Here comes the lion. Ben Stiller, of course, is the voice of Alex.
And we wake up right in the heart of New York City. Kendall Cronkite and Shannon did a great job of kind of simplifying and idealizing the Central Park Zoo, which is a great location for us because it's right smack dab in the middle of Manhattan and surrounded by these wonderful skyscrapers.
To the right place, my friend. Dr. Marty, DDS, is in the house. Please hop on.
You look closely at the environment. I mean, it does look like New York City in many ways. It is stylized and modified somewhat, but on a more detailed level. We made a point of not having any parallel lines in New York City, something we just called the whack factor, which gave everything just a bit of a style.
A little askew.
Yeah, sort of matched the style of the design of our characters.
Plus, we wanted to have this opening in the fall, and the art department used this great muted palette, kind of showing the city and kind of romanticizing it at the same time. So when we went to Madagascar, it just exploded with color.
No, it's great.
You hate it. Oh, I should have gotten you the Alex alarm clock. That's the one. That's the big seller.
So it's sort of, we sort of start the film with this talky sequence as we introduce these two characters. And Ben and Chris just both did a great job energizing this dialogue and giving the animators material to work with so we could keep it visually interesting. Here goes Alex up on the wall.
How?
Throw out the old act. Get out there. Who knows what
you're... It was great. I think the animators had a great time just pushing the movement like this and finding these really strong poses and hitting them and sticking them and staying in these poses to kind of really push the attitudes.
Here comes the
There's
people.
A little lion chasing the zebra, a little joke on the clock.
People one time. Woo!
Let's go, Gloria!
So we go around the horn here. We meet everybody. Just trying to set up the routine and how Alex loves the routine of performing for the crowds. And, he's the most energetic about the whole idea of being a star.
You see something, very, very normal and simple. At least it looks simple when you look at that water that Gloria's in. Every time we have some organic thing like that, water, wind, particles, dirt or sand or whatever, it's a big task for the effects department to put that in. Nothing's
here
for free.
Too, crowds was very much a huge challenge, and having all the variations of people.
Here's our monkeys, Conrad Vernon, actually the voice of the gingerbread man in the Shrek film is the voice of our monkey. Mason, we call him. Sounds like James Mason.
After James Mason, yeah.
A spit, just that water coming out. Big task for some effects animators to pull that off. They have to do spits a lot in this movie.
Yeah. We have about 50 spit takes, I believe.
It's showtime.
So here's where Hans comes in, and Hans Zimmer, our composer, gave us some great music. He found a theme for our characters that he is playing here, and he found a large number of variations on that theme that we could use later emotionally to really kind of hit the friendship between Alex and Marty.
Masses of people. Huge challenge for our crowd guys.
So this is really, we tried to take a point of view from the people looking at the animals to kind of set up the lives that our characters go through every day. You know, this is their normal routine. We just wanted to show that.
One of our best actors, the highly trained Tom McGrath, as the voice of the skipper.
Just kind of fell into it. I'd voice it in pitches, and we actually wanted someone like Robert Stack, you know, this tough guy in a little penguin body.
We don't want to risk another cave-in.
And me, Skipper?
I want you to look cute and cuddly. Right?
We'll often do the voices just to fill in until we can get the actor in and record them. And Tom did the voice of the skipper. And when it came time to cast, we just figured, hey, Tom sounds good. Let's keep him in there.
Animal Planet. Well, Joe, thanks for coming.
So Marty tried his best to get into the routine, find something different, but didn't quite do it for him.
My whole life, 365 days a year.
Beautiful afternoon lighting, almost magic hour lighting here. Nice warm glow in the afternoon, fall feeling.
And tip your cabin, because it's broke.
Originally, Marty was inspired to go the wild by just his mural alone. And then we found out we could use these little guys, these penguins escaping, to kind of plant the seed in his head that there was something else out there besides the zoo. And it's just one of the cases we found we could use the penguins throughout the film to kind of, kind of be a little mirror of wanting to find your roots. The same thing Marty's going through. And they go through their own version of it.
Friend. Do you ever see any penguins running free around New York City? Of course not. We don't belong here. It's just not natural. This is all some kind of whacked-out conspiracy. We're going to the wide-open spaces of Antarctica. To the wild...
He's explained it very clearly now, laid it out. Chris Rock, very excited.
Hey, hold up! Where's this place? Tell me where it is!
You didn't see anything.
I always like that joke.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. No, sir.
For his final appearance
Marty's got some new ideas to think about.
of New York City, Alex the Lion. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, it's interesting to think that every time you see anything on screen, somebody had to go in and figure out how to make it get it up onto the screen, what it should look like, how it should move, how it should feel. With animation in any medium, nothing is for free. Everything that you see is on screen. So like those fireworks, for example, those cheering crowds are all positioned and designed. Even these little elements you see on screen, obviously for just seconds, whether it's Gloria's Fruit Bowl or Melman's medications, are all designed from scratch by artists and technicians and put in place by animators and given surfaces so that they reflect the light properly, and then lights are applied to them. It's a huge undertaking for just every moment, every second of film in a process like this. It's one of the reasons that we do have two directors for a movie like this, or at least why we like to do it that way, is because there are just so many decisions to be made every day, not just about what the characters say and do, but what those bars look like on that cage or what the surface of that tree should be.
Originally, with that monkey, the teacup, of course, built. Originally, we had a martini glass, and we decided we needed to take that out.
Make it more universal.
More universal. Tea is much more universal.
It works with his character, too, having a tea and a teacup and saucer.
I'll blab it out, but if you want to be safe...
Oh, for crying out loud, Marty, would you just tell us? I mean, really, what could happen?
Okay.
But, everything on, including that whipped cream is a big ordeal because it has to move with Marty's mouth and then feel like it's connected. Marty just dropped a bomb on his friends.
Luck?
Wild? Are you nuts? That is the worst idea I've ever heard. It's unsanitary.
The penguins are going
So this is a point in the film, that was a scene rewritten many times, and how to best show Marty's love for the wild and what his dream is, and we wanted to have an intimate conversation from all the noise in the zoo. And the art department, put this light right in the center and made this little table so that it felt like they're just sitting around a dining room table as friends would, just to try and get that feeling. And then Marty's kind of pushed aside as his friends kind of downplay his ideas. One of the goals of this is how we portray the city, and we tried to tell the movie through their point of view, to have them know only the things that they would see or perhaps hear about. And so we tried to always see the film unfold from their eyes.
Nope. Well, I mean, come on, that's just one subject. You got a little schmutz right there in your mouth.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the party. It was great. Really.
Wanted to keep them very naive and have their knowledge kind of play into what is believable with animals in the zoo.
Right. And yet from their perspective, they just consider themselves New Yorkers, which is what this premise is all about. Take 4 New York City zoo animals, New Yorkers to the core, and dump them into the wild. How would they survive?
Come on, he's your best friend.
All right. Okay.
Night, Marty.
Night, Glow.
For a lot of that New York sensibility, we worked with Peter Melman, who was a producer and writer for Seinfeld for many years, and he helped sort of find that New York sensibility and rhythm
And language, too. Came up with some great dialogue.
That helicopter joke.
The helicopter joke was Peter's.
Really, I mean, I tell you, it just doesn't get any better than this,
And of course, Mark Burton and Billy Frolic, writing partners on this, did a wonderful job laying this story out for us when we first began.
Really focusing on the story between a zebra and a lion that
Everybody has days when I think the grass might be
you
greener.
wouldn't expect to be friends, and they really kind of honed in on that idea as kind of the centerpiece for the story. This kind of fable about these animals, these predator prey that should never be friends. So that's the heart, and this scene here is purely to show how close and what kind of history these guys share. Originally this was a big song and dance number, and it went into a huge fantasy musical kind of Busby Berkeley thing, and to show Alex's viewpoint against Marty's viewpoint. But we felt like at this point in the story, we've already said that in many other ways, so it seemed kind of a redundant kind of idea. So it just came down to a few bars of New York, New York.
I always like this scene where classic apartments, buildings, New Yorkers yelling at each other to be quiet.
New York.
The process for sort of writing and developing a film like this is perhaps a little bit different than a live action film. We do try to start with a script. It's flexible. We can modify and change it, and do by design, by our process, continue to develop ideas as we take them into other parts of our production process, which include storyboarding, where we basically draw out a comic book version of every scene of the film. And the story artists can put a lot of new ideas into the process that way, both in how they stage things. They may come up with new gags and lines of dialogue that help inform the scene. And it's a very iterative process. We just do it over and over again, refining and redoing sequences, looking at them together and seeing how they play out, rewriting scenes, And that goes on throughout the production process, which in this case was about 4 years.
I'll need to rest my voice for tomorrow. It's seniors day.
Not enough credit can be given to storyboard artists. Like this light that he claps on and off came out of a storyboard artist, and they never, they're writers themselves and actors, and they really come up with a lot of the great things you see. Plus, the animators really add little nuances and little things that kind of make the characters even more believable.
This is a great example here.
Yeah, as Marty looks at his wall, I think it was Manu who animated this, put this little scratch on his ankle in there, and it just makes you feel like he's a living thing, Originally, in the first version of the script, all the animals were darted by activists and shipped away from the zoo. And unbeknownst to our characters, they had no idea what was happening to them. And then as the story evolved, we found it stronger that, Marty would be so obsessed with seeing the wild that he would actually escape and cause the others to be worried and follow after him. And it was a little bit more active on Marty's part. And plus, we got to bring the characters out into the city and see how they interacted and how much of a fish out of water they are in their own city, and they're completely oblivious to it.
What?
You suck your thumb?
What is it, Melman?
Okay.
We have these three neurotic sort of New York males in the film, and with our one female lead, the hippo, voiced by Jada Pinkett Smith, we wanted a tough, strong character. And you wouldn't think of Jada necessarily off the bat because she's so petite and nowhere near a hippo. But when you hear her voice, it's so commanding and strong. And it's just the thing we needed to sort of help keep these three neurotic males in line. And Jada just did a wonderful job as the voice of the hippo.
Somebody.
We did a little something different with the camera here, sort of give it a handheld feel, which adds to the frenetic nature of the sequence.
Something Ewan Johnson threw in there just to add, that hectic kind of nature to it. Great expressions.
We can't call the people.
Another gag here added by a story artist. Just break it off and throw it.
Be transferred for good. You don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Mm-hmm, I know that's right.
We got to go after him.
I think that's the only food joke for Gloria in the whole film.
He's probably out there lost. And
Which we kind of tried to avoid.
We wanted Gloria to be big and robust, but to be a beautiful hippo and not have to make her a character where she's worried about eating or has a weight problem or anything like that, because hippos are 800 pounds and they're proud of it.
Melman, come on.
Maybe one of us should wait here in case he comes back.
Oh, no, not now. This is an intervention, Melman. We all
It's a
got
great pose when Gloria busts out that brick wall.
We should take Lexington.
Melman!
Okay, we should take Lexington.
what about Park?
No, Park goes 2 ways.
So we wanted to get the monkeys to be transferred as well, so they became part of this little escape with their own agenda to go see Tom Wolfe.
Rockefeller Center. Getting some of these icons in here.
We thought, what better way to push these characters through New York better than on a subway? I mean, that's one of the things, being in the city that every New Yorker is well familiar with is the subway. So we just tried to capture that as best we could, that experience.
Here it comes.
So when Marty's traveling through the city, he's in wide open space, and these guys are cramped and claustrophobic and in smaller spaces, just to kind of contrast Marty and his friends.
Melman has these Kleenex boxes on his feet, a little tip of the hat to Howard Hughes.
Go straight back down West 42nd.
Uh-huh.
He's on your left after Vanderbilt.
Okay.
If you hit the Chrysler building, you've gone too far.
Thanks a lot, officer.
Classic shot of New York City landmark, Times Square.
There's a lot of animation in those signs.
Yeah, that's right. A zebra. Right in front of me. Can I shoot it? Negative. Then I'm going to need some backup.
Aw, Nick's lost again.
What are you gonna do?
Did that just say Grand Central Station?
That what are you going to do is another Peter Melman thing. It always makes me smile. It's such a little thing, but such a nice touch.
Now that is actually a model, I mean, of Grand Central Station, a beautiful set that they built inside the computer, so you can shoot it from any angle. And it's one of those things as before, a little bit whacked out, a little whack factor. You know, it's identical, but things have been simplified and kind of caricatured in a way, but all to make you feel like you're actually there.
Think of an emergency. Hey, how'd you get here?
Over the top with the and had some fun with the audio sound effects of some of this stuff.
Rip on yourselves, people.
Yeah, it was a fine line. You know, where do you go way over the top and have, you know,
I missed it.
those kind of cartoony sound effects? We tried to find the best balance we could. But that old lady is great, and that's for even little kids. That they just love seeing a lion get hit with a purse. And that was fun to be able to do slapstick, you know, and that was part of our conceit, to have a lot of the action and motion be entertaining as well. And just like, you know, years of animation, traditional animation is done.
Hey, you hear that? Morty's fine. Oh, that's
We've sort of reached a place now with computer animation technology where if you've got the talented people and the time and resources, you can really do just about anything you can dream up. I mean, there was a reason why the first computer animated films were toys and insects, things with exoskeletons, because it's really hard to get that sort of furry, fleshy feeling with computer animation until, well, it's still hard, but it's certainly possible today. So we could really push that and make these characters organic and squash them and stretch them in ways that we've seen in traditional hand-drawn animation, but perhaps not as much in computer animation.
If you have any poo, fling it now.
It's a great joke. At least I think so.
Good evening, officers.
No, you don't talk now, okay?
It's tremendously difficult too, with a huge number of crowds.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, you know what? Everything's cool. We just had a little situation here.
They have to keep breathing and moving even subtly so they don't just freeze up.
Gets to us all. Just went a little cuckoo in the head.
Hey, don't be calling me cuckoo in the head.
Shush! I will handle this.
She comes again.
That was Elisa, her name was. She was one of the Loop Group voice people that just threw a
This ever happened?
great voice on that
No harm, no foul, right?
side character.
Oh, hey, it's cool. Hey, Alex, lion from the zoo.
One of the rare times here where we go from the human's point of view.
What's the matter with them?
You know, one of the things we discovered when they really do transfer animals, they use very heavy drugs.
Yeah.
It kind of inspired a way to do our version of Pink Elephants on Parade, you know, to have this little fantasy thing that only animation can do, you know, that brings out just a little something special. And we thought it was very funny that he would have this kind of hallucination. And twice, but anyway.
Oh, the candy man. Candy man.
Last night's dramatic incident in Grand Central is an example of.
So this is our guilty of exposition scene where really needed to find a way to explain what the people's motives were and why they were transferring these animals, because they were happy and because they escaped. So we thought it'd be funny to show it through Alex's point of view and then get darted again. You know, one thing people ask about the characters are, you know, are they designed after the actors? And because they look like them in some cases, but actually they're not. They're designed well in advance of casting in some cases, in most cases, in our case here. But the thing is, you know, when they're performing behind the mic, we do videotape them, and it's something we don't copy, but we give it to the animators to inspire them. They also are inspired by other performances in other films. And they add these little nuances in the faces, these little facial expressions the actors give. So it really makes these characters look sometimes like the actors, but that's how that kind of gets in there.
They find an essence somehow.
Yeah.
So this was one of the first shots that we animated on the film because they're just essentially on stage. It gave the animators a chance to really find a style and a tone for the way we want to move these characters around.
Yeah, 6 animators had worked on this shot, and the time on this shot is incredible. It's close to 30 seconds. It's a very long shot. So different animators would work on different characters. This is one of just a flat graphic moment we could take cinematically. And we thought it'd be interesting to shoot it all as a single shot with all these characters coming on screen. A few times other in the movie where we have this kind of proscenium staging, kind of take a break from the cinematics of it.
I always enjoy watching this and watching the characters that aren't speaking, see how the animators have chosen to keep them alive and thinking. You can always feel like there's something going on in their heads, even when they're not speaking.
Pretty amazing for a first shot, and it really set the tone for, some of the nuances and how these characters move and react.
Did I? He does have a point.
Your stomach. Originally we didn't have a lot of the sets built too, so this was a great choice to kind of flex the muscles of the characters, and they could build these crates relatively easy. So that's why it was one of the first scenes to be animated.
Does anybody feel?
Always enjoy this reveal.
We're trying to think of a name for the boat. We had Lollipop, but it's a good ship, Lollipop. We had SS Act 2. And we put names on the boat, and then it just drew your eye right to the name instead of the scene.
Can you read?
No, Phil can read, though. Phil?
Those are cans of root beer, just in case.
So this was
wondering.
Root beer, not beer. This is one of the first scenes that was boarded in the film, and originally it was a storm at sea that washed the crates overboard. But so many films had been done, castaways, and at the time, and there was so many storms that we decided, and Gilligan's Island had been out for quite some time, so we decided it'd be fun to use some of these characters when the entire zoo was being transferred and have them do a little jailbreak. So this was really the scene for these penguins. And for a while, this was their only moment in the film. And, we kept it in our screenings and people just liked him. So we just decided to put him elsewhere in the film and found really good storytelling places for him.
I was the star in the great.
It's a great addition, the sound of that breaking coffee cup, which was designed by the sound effects folks.
Guys,
If the people loved you,
Put it
it's
up
only
there.
because they didn't know the real you.
don't make me come up there. I'd get the whooping on both of y'all.
I thought I knew the real you.
Wait, let's talk
You're black and white.
Yeah, those guys, even with the little Foley they did, moving hay and everything add so much to the storytelling and a lot to the comedy. A lot of the sound effects really made some of these jokes play really well.
Navigation.
It's just like the picture, the sound, everything you hear has to be invented. Because there is no real place where you can record penguins slapping each other like this or whatever. So every sound, every step on a keyboard, every handshake or wave or slide across the deck.
A little something Rex Grignon added in there, that penguin sliding. Also on that map on the wall behind the penguin when he shrugs, it said Madagascar. And that was one of the only times we ever wanted to say Madagascar originally in the film. We never even wanted to mention it. We didn't want anyone to say it, but we caved in and we caved in, and I think Julian the lemur introduces it later.
You want to talk about the genesis of this?
This sequence, my brother's wife, her father was in the Navy, and they were doing war games, and he was repainting a deck and got washed overboard. And he always described a story about being caught in these swells as when he dipped down, 50 feet and came up, the boat was just a little further away, and it was so graphic and visual. We thought maybe from Alex's point of view, he would go through the same experience.
Oh.
And remember, we had Marty in his box, and water was springing out of different holes, and he was using all his hooves to cover it. But it was very funny. But then it looks like Marty was dead after a long time, so we decided to keep it with just Alex.
So even this here is a dramatic moment. Alex arrives on the beach all alone, and he's scared and worried about himself and the others. And yet we still try to find ways to keep it fun and visual, as he holds onto his tongue or as he rolls up onto the beach and the sand's coming out of his mouth. Or this joke here as he's heading down towards the horizon. Cats hate water.
Dan Wagner, he animated this and was finding ways to push Alex even farther. I mean, it was during the making of this film, it was always a challenge. How far can we push these characters, and see how far we can take our animation. And it's easy to be reserved. And, it was great that Jeffrey Katzenberg was so supportive of the animation style we all wanted to do, that he was even a big advocate of pushing it as far as we can, see what we could get away with.
Is that you?
Melvin, I got you.
Whoa!
Hang on.
Whoa!
Another place here where the story artist was given this idea of Alex coming across Melman, and was asked to figure out a way to make it fun and physical and visual. And so all of this action here,
Wait a second, Melvin.
Ow!
Wait right there.
pulling on Melman's neck and grabbing this log, was all invented by the story artist who drew it up and presented it to us on a big bulletin board, like a comic book.
Corner pockets.
You figure if you're laughing at that when it's in a black and white drawing on a bulletin board, then chances are you've got something.
Look! Look! It's Gloria! It's
A little car screech sound there when Alex comes to a stop.
Gloria!
Gloria!
Coconut.
They're great little added sounds. There's only certain moments in these where we really went over the top, I think. I like that.
Clown horn.
It's always cracking me up.
Gloria!
Oh. What?
Marty!
We wanted to, just keep the action going and get all our characters reunited quickly, and try to, hide the fact that it's so convenient they're all showing up at the same time. But, each little beat, each little character gets his moment,
We have our pair back-to-back musical jokes here with Hawaii Five-0 and now Chariots of Fire. And, we thought about, can we really get away with those just running right up against each other? And we decided, yes.
We can.
This
is
is
a
always
little
great.
twist on the love affair, which goes sour. Again, with the slow motion, even all of those little lips flapping around are all hand animated to appear like slow motion.
Oh, look at us. We're all here together. Safe.
So that line, sugar, honey, iced tea, that Marty says when he turns and runs the other way, is something that Chris Rock came up with. And we have a lot of opportunity to play around and be inventive when we get into the studio to record these actors. Great shot of our jungle for the first time.
A lot of times we just had exclamations, but, wow, this is great, or, something really ordinary. And Chris and all the cast were really great at finding the language for their character. And Chris would come up with funny exclamations. Dag nabbit. You can say sugar, honey, iced tea. And right here.
Place is crack-a-lackin'. Oh, I can hang here. I can hang here.
It's Chris Rock all the way.
Drink down.
But that's part of the process that's so great is, these actors just aren't names on the marquee for us. I mean, there's a reason why they're famous. It's because they're so good at what they do. And so when we get into the studio with them, we let them fly. If they've got ideas, we go, we get it. And often it's just gold.
Like Ben running after Marty. Ben's standing behind a microphone. He's jumping up and down and acting out of breath. And we say, you're chasing Marty, telling him how many ways you can kill him. And, Ben would just put his heart into it, and it looked, the performance is great. It really is convincing that they're running or moving or getting hit.
Shush. Don't you shush me.
Do you hear that? Don't you hear that? I hear it.
This is the first shot of the jungle interior. Absolutely beautiful images from the art department that they created these environments for us. The lighters who gave it this wonderful glow, not too bright because the sun's going down, but it's absolutely beautiful.
And again, it's always fun to have Alex get beat up. But we needed to detain him for later. You had to be a little bit out of the loop later on.
Most of the plants are derived from real plants that you'd find in Madagascar, although they are stylized. But at least as important to that is how they're placed in the jungle. The art department looked at a lot of reference, especially like Balinese gardens. These are gardens in very tropical climates, and they use the plants that they have in that sort of climate, and yet create these very sort of manicured, groomed spaces, and use that idea to give this jungle a sort of structure.
It wasn't supposed to be a literal version of Madagascar, but kind of stylized using plant designs, but to make it kind of an innocent, naive version of a jungle, kind of childlike view. To place 900 dancing lemurs in a jungle is quite an undertaking for a computer. This is one of the scenes we really wanted to show the wildlife, and one of our editors, Claire DeShano, found this piece of music called "Move It" and to kind of give these characters a personality. We thought, ravers at a party. That's how they like to live. And this "Move It" song is from the 80s. And Sasha, who was playing Julian, heard this music that was just in the background and decided he'd like to sing it. So he went home and practiced it, came back in, and he just blew the doors off it. Plus, he danced on videotape, which the animators referenced, and really gave the introduction to the locals a great flavor. We introduced the Fusa.
Yeah, it was a stroke of genius to cast Sacha Baron Cohen, I think, as our lemur king. Leslie Fillman and her crew suggested him to us, and we'd actually never heard of him before. But then saw the work he'd done on HBO with Ali G.
And he could create characters, and
yeah,
he came in and then played around with some voices. Kind of this Indian, kind of came up with a French kind of Indian accent, and then kind of, after a few sessions, really gave it its own kind of flavor. You don't know what it is, what that accent is. So this was hard to set up, a challenge for us to set up, the locals and what they're like, and then their enemy, Fusa, kind of their situation, and to introduce the New Yorkers to the locals as well.
Mort is one of my favorite characters. We've been told he's very popular in Japan.
Andy Richter.
Andy Richter, is the voice of Mort. It's so funny. Yeah, Cedric the Entertainer is the voice of Maurice, sort of the second in command. He's a kind of a lemur called an aye-aye, this very bizarre, exotic creature that lives in Madagascar and nowhere else. Cedric just has this wonderful warmth to his voice. When we began, we thought we might try to get Malagasy accents for our characters that live in Madagascar. But we soon realized that the best thing is to use these beautiful voices that our actors can bring to the table. And Cedric just has all of this warmth and this mellow tone to his voice. It's a great contrast to the King Julian, which is what we wanted these two to kind of be, a contrast.
And we needed that someone who had some brains in the organization to play against this child king, and the locals, because of these guys, were very small characters in the original version, and their parts just grew tremendously because of Cedric and because of Sasha adding so much to them. Some of these scenes, we had a lot of dialogue between Maurice and Julian in the bushes. That was really funny, and a lot of it was improv. But, some of those things for time you have to lose.
Plan, really. I've devised a cunning test to see whether these are savage killers.
The animators having fun with how Sashi used to hold his hands, and just all these crimped shapes, and he'd perform, and the animators tried to add that to his character. There was a waterfall actually behind them that we didn't have the water quite ready for yet, and so we didn't turn on the water for the shot. So all the things weren't quite built yet, but enough to have the scene come across. So we had to plan out, what scenes best to animate first with what sets are finished.
Oh, you good, baby. Did that big mean lion scare you? He did. He's a big
So cute. This is great.
Jada turns on her motherly charms here.
They are so cute from a reasonable distance.
Originally, the joke for Mort was that he was the most annoyingly cute of all the lemurs. And I remember you always thought it was great that he was 37 years old in reality, and that's why he was so annoying. It's kind of act your age. We had a joke where they called him on his age, and he just giggled. And he also
Kind of had to cut it for time, I think.
when we started this film, putting 5 furry lemurs on screen was the most they could do.
And there you see, there's a few more than 5.
Yeah, and so that was the challenge to, how to get all these characters on screen at once with all their fur.
Every one of these characters has millions of hairs on them.
Yeah.
And every one of those hairs and its associated data has to be pumped through the computers to create these images. And so it just becomes monumental, the amount of information that has to get calculated to create these furry guys.
For chasing away the Fusa.
The Husa?
The Fusa. They're always annoying us.
This is a
Ad lib here.
Yeah, it's always challenging in these. Yeah.
Ripping our limbs off.
People are, so if you
My,
could,
what big teeth you have.
This is a little bit that Sasha had done where, to punish Maurice, he calls everyone to prepare the spanking machine.
the Alex.
They all cheer. And before the spanking machine, he asked them their names, and it was a little funny bit that ended up losing again. Keep it moving.
What are they doing? Some sort of inbreeding program? Well, I say we just gotta ask these bozos where the people are.
Excuse me. We bozos have the people, of course.
Hey,
So it's always a challenge with these, like a 9-foot-tall lion and a 15-foot giraffe, to be in the same scene with an 18-inch lemur. Cinematically, it's very challenging sometimes.
Yeah, it was hard enough just keeping Melman in the shots with his friends,
Yeah,
much less, adding these little guys to the mix.
that's why it was fun to have Melman's head kind of drop into the frame from time to time. Sometimes it's not funny.
Would it?
The what?
Whoa! Whoa, hold up there a second, Fuzz Bucket. You mean like
That's
Another
Yeah.
ad lib. Fuzz bucket, very funny.
wipe yourself with a leaf type wild?
Who wipes?
Oy vey.
Oy vey!
Oh, hey, everybody.
Could you excuse me for a moment?
Get me out of here! We got it!
Beautiful sunset lighting here.
When we started the film, a lot of it was going to take place on a beach, and we didn't think about things like kicking sand and footprints and the history of footprints and all these little things that add so much to the realism of it. And these guys, a lot of the artists just really invented ways to do this that really add so much and make you feel like you're on a beach.
They'll come looking for us, right?
Yeah, right.
That was an ad lib from Chris Rock. He just started singing that song, and he really didn't know the words, so he starts going na 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 na, and inspired that little acrobatic gymnastics that Marty does.
Sushi for breakfast. Rika.
This scene actually came after the crates went overboard,
Well,
and in the film with the penguins celebrating, and
I
but the characters are overboard in crates. It's dramatic, and you cut back, and their penguins are having champagne. So we found a better place for that little penguin celebration.
Hey, on the train. Nice work.
Or the great image, I think, with Melman in his grave, sort of giving up.
It's a grave. You sent Melman to his grave. Are you happy?
His giraffe crate as a headstone.
You know, a little thing about the will in the sand is that the art department had researched a New York State will and all the legalese and how it's written, and actually wrote it, modeled it in the sand.
Yeah, that's a legal binding document there.
Yeah, it's legit.
Why'd you tell us you wish? You're not supposed to do that.
Wait a minute. I didn't want to tell you, remember?
This little Melman ad lib here.
Let me tell you.
Yes, David Schwimmer just came up with that. It's very funny.
Look around. There's no fences, no...
You know,
And it just gives the animators so much material to work with, these great performances.
This is your side of the island, and this is our side of the island.
David made Melman just such a wonderful character. He's so healing, you know, even with his phobias and weaknesses. We didn't want him to be a downer. We wanted him to be a lot of fun.
Lovable hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Which he did so well.
Remember when we tested it, they were asking kids who their favorite character was, and this little boy raised his hand and said, "I like Melman because he's too tall."
He's too tall.
This is the fun side.
Which is great, because he is too tall, you poor guy. So the kid was really empathizing with it.
This side's the best. That side stinks. You're on the Jersey side of this cesspool.
You know, and this is, as we start to go into the survival montage, we tried so many different types of music, you know, songs that would kind of underlie it, and we were really stuck on it. And then Hans decided he wanted to take a shot at just composing something, and it really, you know, hits every beat of this and kind of the attitudes of the characters. And he really did a great job, you know, kind of building it to this climactic, monumental moment with the Statue of Liberty.
I've been standing here for hours, man. How long do I have to pose like this?
She is finito.
It's a great idea that Tom came up with here, that can actually construct their own version of the Statue of Liberty, that they could use the Liberty's torch as a beacon.
We'll ignite the beacon of liberty and be rescued from this awful nightmare. What do you think? Pretty cool, huh? How's the Liberty Fire going?
It was led into another storyboard artist, Planet of the Apes reference, which kind of just seemed to work right into this.
We do have a lot of shameless film references in Madagascar, and we just think they're funny. And, you know, usually, though, what we'll try to do is give it a test that if it works, even if you don't get the reference, if it makes sense to some degree within the context, then it's okay.
Yeah, we had him doing the Tom Hanks bit here, but we just thought it was too much castaway, so we kind of took out the "I make fire" bit. Fire is very difficult in computer animation.
Yeah, this was a monumental task to do the effects here of this right here and breaking apart like this.
We had a lot of extra material in this sequence. Some of it was animated, I believe, between Marty and Alex. Murray was great, though. I mean, we had this sequence was probably, you know, felt like 15 minutes. Murray was really good about saying, you know, this bit's good, you know, we really tighten it up. And it was like pulling teeth, but we're so glad we did tighten that sequence.
Yeah. Thank you, Murray Soria, our producer.
Presenting your Royal Highness, the illustrious blah, 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 you know, et cetera, et cetera.
This is we always wanted to have this scene in the plane, which is good. And comments like maybe the skeleton hand would be too dark, but we just thought it was funny, and hopefully it ended up funny.
I like them first.
So we put smiles on the skeletons' faces, so it wouldn't be there's one right there, so it wouldn't be too gruesome. We wanted it to be like a little treehouse kind of scene.
For as long as you can remember,
it's great that the skeleton hand sort of does the right poses.
the dreaded Fusa.
There's Timo that goes into the ball. I wish we used Timo more. You know,
it's a tenrec.
It's a tenrec. It's an actual animal. All these animals are, but Timo was funny. He used to have this little French accent and had a bigger role early on, but reduced to popping into a little ball now.
We had a bigger role for Masakoro, which is that chameleon that you see occasionally. She was a psychic, and she'd stick her tongue out onto people's forehead and change colors like a mood ring. She read their fortunes to them.
Ever again! I thought of that. Yes. Me, I did.
Hold on.
Again, Sasha just going off.
He would go off for minutes, and there'd be one line of dialogue, and he'd go off for 10 minutes having imaginary conversations with other lemurs, and we'd just be in tears, just laughing.
This is even worse than the Fusa. I'm telling you, that dude just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Maurice, you did not raise your hand. Therefore, your heinous comment will be stricken.
Sasha, there's certain words he would say that Julian wouldn't know. He's not smart enough to know these things. So he came up with a language was tailored to someone who wasn't so bright, and it was added a lot to his character. That was the second place we say Madagascar. That's about all we wanted to mention originally.
Now, who'd like a cookie?
So, this is one of those moments where Alex and Marty kind of connect, kind of intimately. Felt like it was a good point in the part in the film.
Hans Zimmer brings this friendship theme back in here.
Yeah, which really helps out moments like this.
Enjoy yourself.
Marty, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I just want to go home.
Could you just give it a chance?
This was a long shot. Animator took a lot of time.
Fun side without
Some
you.
subtle performances.
Another story artist idea. It just kind of adds to the shot, that help sign falling.
It's the pizza man.
So even though they're in the wild and Marty,
Yes.
we wanted to have them live like, like New Yorkers, even though they're in the wild. So we thought it was funny to have this apartment door scene, with the chains and everything. It was kind of
I'm sorry.
reuniting moment, and then just have a freestanding door. Again, the sound effects guys adding extra locks, and so Marty has like 20 locks he undoes, and that adds a bit too.
Using sort of tiki lounge concept as a reference here. Marty has this sort of 60s bachelor pad, I guess.
And then, of course, Hans goes, I must do that music. And he really nailed that genre of bachelor pad.
The house.
This is seawater.
Come our spit take.
So this is one where we had a few, and then thought they were funny, and
Hey, y'all look hungry.
problem was we didn't have enough. So we added more.
You have food?
The fun side special. Coming up. Seaweed on a stick.
Seaweed.
On a stick. Don't love it till you try it.
In the issue of food, they're so pampered in the zoo. We're like, well, how can we?
So good.
What would they wouldn't know what to look for to find food. They didn't even know food grows on trees. They're kind of helpless in this environment, being naive about the wild. And this is a good way to show the herbivores are okay with this stuff, but Alex needs a steak. And so it was one of a moment we could put in where Alex really starts to get hungry here.
Wow. Would you look at that?
It's like billions and billions of helicopters.
Shoot a star. Make a wish. Quick.
Ooh, how about a thick, juicy steak?
You know what, Alex? I promise you I'm going to find you a steak tomorrow.
So Alex is hungry for steak, and was always thought it was always a moment for him to have this dream, and we tried different versions of all these different dreams. One was based off Jurassic Park, where there's snakes running around in flocks and herds on a big savanna, and then
we had the big dance number with all the stakes, sort of
another Busby Berkeley
right.
musical, and again, story artists come up with this idea based off the movie, but it was just a real simple, quick way we could convey and have a little joke about it, that Alex loves steak. Rob Koo, one of our boarders, added him doing a little steak angel, which even added to that.
We actually added these cutbacks so we could extend this moment, make it very uncomfortable.
30 black and only 29 white. Looks like you're black with white stripes after all. Dilemma solved. Good night.
Sort of cracks me up that Marty, he kind of buys it.
Yeah.
Huh. Hey, what do you know?
You see, Maurice, Mr. Alex was grooming his friend. He is clearly a tender, loving thing. How can you have the heebie-jeebies for Mr. Alex? Look at him.
Just the cadence of Sasha's voice makes me laugh.
I don't think he was grooming him, Julian. Looked more like he was tasting him to me.
Suit yourself, no matter.
Here's the Greek chorus up there commenting on
Soon we will put
on Alex.
plan to action.
See, the locals are desperate. They need some kind of help.
They are deep in this.
Just blabbing on. This is really quite challenging to do this. It's really funny on paper when it's a drawing, all these lemurs pulling into this tree, but to actually do it, it's very difficult. You know, in traditional animation, all you really need to do is draw it and paint it. In the computer world, though, you have to build it. And
on that gag and this one coming up here, we adjusted the timings on those over and over again, trying to find the perfect rhythm.
Well, this sucks.
One time we could say suck. The gag really is credited, that little bit, to Bob Saget, who was actually in the studio at the time, and we showed him the penguin stuff, and he goes, whatever you do at the end of the film, you have to have them on an icy shelf and just looking at each other, and says, well, this sucks. And that was actually going to be after the credit roll. And we found a better place. Right?
Well, yeah, and as the penguins became more part of the story, we couldn't end with them in Antarctica, so we could just move that gag up.
What?
No, not hoo-ha. Aska.
You know, one of the underlying themes here is that these guys are everybody's looking for a place that will tell them who they are. And of course, ultimately, they all have to look inside themselves to find who they are. And it doesn't matter where they are. They don't have to be where Mother Nature tells them to be, or New York, or anything else. So the penguins, again, sort of parallel that idea. Here, Marty finds the real version of his mural and thinks that that's all he needs to be happy.
I don't think I can do it.
But Alex is a good enough sport to go along after their reconciliation on the beach.
This was a challenge, too, is like, Alex is hungry now. How do we wanted Marty to kind of bring his kind of wild side out, so...
Come on, Alex, get in the groove.
Thought if he could get him into that chase
My blood sugar's real low.
kind of situation, a game of tag, that Alex's instincts would somehow kick in between the hunger and just the act of chasing his friend.
To the road. You just have to let out that...
And we didn't necessarily have that dream sequence at the beginning of the film until we were sort of working on ideas for this sequence. And then we found that this opportunity to set up that idea in the beginning and then allow this to sort of resonate with what we saw when the film started. There's a similar shot to Marty's fantasy. So now Alex's pupils have changed. He's transitioned into something closer to a wild cat. Something's flowing inside of him that he's never felt before.
I feel like like a mile high for straw me on ride.
Wanted to have something for Alex that would show like when he's a little bit crazed and more wild, so his pupil shrank as irises grow.
And then there's
3 wigs also to kind of show, how he would progress and get a little wilder. Here's the next version of his hair, which isn't quite as blow dried as normal. And his whiskers start to get little kinks in them as well.
Okay, just throws this lemur.
Animator's having fun.
You see, Maurice, Alex is now our friend.
This is a great example of Sasha coming up with alternate wording.
That my plan is working in a very good working kind of way.
Good working.
I think it was something like my plan is working excellently or something in the script, and he turned it into words that Julian would say.
Ooh, King. Yeah, what you see is that. Come on, Alex. Why don't you show him some of your act?
Oh, no, I really don't think I can. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, primates of all ages.
We used to have this long scene where Alex was sniffing Marty with that wild look on his face and didn't know what smelled so good.
Thought he smelled steak, and his nose kept leading into Marty.
Yeah, look, King is in the house.
Sort of variation on the song that we heard when Alex was at the zoo, with kind of a crazy marching band feel to it.
And then once Julian's character was, challenged by another king, he came kind of bitter about Alex, and there was a lot more of that. But then we kind of pulled back on that because
One before, yeah, go on.
Some of the beautiful waterfall back there through these scenes that we had turned off earlier.
so it was how to show Alex going nuts from his point of view, and got to give credit to older cartoons and that turned someone into a sucker, and cross dissolve, and it'd be great to see little stakes dissolve. Kind of visually could show it. Originally, the stakes were very realistic, and it looked kind of creepy, so we had to stop this a little bit.
So a moment of lucidity there as his eyes go back to normal briefly.
Alex!
Yeah, as Tom was saying, these stakes allow us to do this, to present this idea comedically. It could be very dark. This idea that Alex wants to eat his friends.
Which isn't something that we all can necessarily relate to in a way. So we had to play it kind of light, that part of it, but hopefully play that it's a real emotional heartbreak for these guys, because I don't think they can be friends.
What are you talking about?
Your friend here is what?
It's coming out in the open. There was a scene that we actually took out. It was Maurice, like a car salesman, kind of showing all the attributes of a lion, the teeth, the claws, built for speed, 4-wheel drive. It's a very funny scene, but at this point in the film, you kind of knew what a lion was about. So it just kind of slowed down the sequence.
Mr. Alex cannot stay here.
It's great working with these layout team to find really inventive ways to kind of do the storytelling, to emphasize certain emotions with where you put the camera. And, you try and think of it like a live action film. You have these miniature sets that are built and these performers within that. And it's all a virtual world, but, you do have cameras and lenses and lights. And there are creative people working those elements like you would in a live action film. So it's a really neat and challenging process. And there's a lot more to it creatively, I think, than most people imagine in animation.
A bullseye. Excellent shot, Maurice.
Thank you.
There's an entire department that just constructs all the models for us.
Marty?
What makes these films interesting is every film can have its own style, and we wanted to definitely have our own style. Kendall pushed a lot of the design, so it's very unique. So in a way, we couldn't borrow, a coffee table from Shrek from the Shrek universe because it's a different style of how it's made and graphically. So, every little thing you see, every prop, every blade of grass, everything's been made from scratch for this movie alone.
I see trees of green. I see them blue. For me and you. And I think to myself.
It's a wonderful world song we've seen in many films. Kind of contrasts what the characters are going through. We'd used it for such a long time, I think. We couldn't find anything really better to play with this montage, which is virtually created from Rob Koo, I think. He storyboarded all these characters kind of walking through and each one getting picked off by a different predator later on. So it was pretty funny. And then it just kind of grew from there, and we added Alex building his cage because he's so afraid about hurting his friends. With the Fusos, it's very difficult, because we went back and forth. Should they talk? Do they talk? What do they say when they talk? And for a while, they did, and we found that we didn't need them to communicate so much, but just to be savage and to kind of reflect where Alex would actually go to, this non-speaking or, guttural kind of savage creature.
Little ducky.
We're going to have him say, "Are you my mommy?" to Marty before he gets eaten, but that just went a little too far.
And we reveal what Alex was constructing.
The singing, it's actually in Madagascar. It's a really unique place, the limestone spires that we thought would be great to play out the scene there.
What a wonderful world.
Yeah. What have I done? It's a nightmare. It's all my fault. Now because of me, we've lost Alex.
Well, what are we going to do?
We're gonna find a way to help him. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh, okay.
Come on, we are New Yorkers, right?
Jada Grant, again, being the strong female, and she's just great. I mean, she has this kind of, when she walks into a room, her presence is there. She, Jada's very petite in reality, but she has this great presence about her.
There it is! Come here.
Animator had fun again here. Just try to give him a lot of freedom to go crazy with this stuff.
You have no idea how much this.
Hey, Bo!
It's one of those things that worked out with our friends coming back from Antarctica. We wanted to have the boat come back, so they see their opportunity to leave, but it's nice to be able to bring the penguins back at the sun.
You cannot go back there by yourself.
Oh, come on. I know Alex. I mean, he hears we're rescued, he'll snap right out of it.
The people are coming. They can help us.
Melman's right. The people will know what to do. Now, come on. We got to flag down that boat.
Every shot just has ocean in the background. And one of these shots coming up right here has 15,000 trees right here with 4 million blowing leaves that they created just for that one shot. And the effects team was just like, we want to do this shot. And we're so grateful to them for pulling it off.
Where are the people?
We killed them and ate their livers.
That was a line that Tom just invented on the fly as a joke. We never thought we'd use it at the time. And then we were back listening to takes. And we said, wait a minute, this is really, we should try it.
And I was like, would we say that? Kill them and eat their liver?
We decided we could say it as long as we were sure he was joking.
He's right. Where did he go? He was right behind us.
Ugh! He went back for Alex. He's going to get himself killed.
Well, boys, our monochromatic friend's in danger. Looks like we have a job to do. Captain's log.
So Skipper's barking off these orders. When the scene was animated,
The minds of the natives. Rico?
they actually get the locals to help him, and that's where that Skipper line was still in there. enlist the hearts and minds of the natives. But we changed the sequence, and they're no longer part of it. But these signs really helped us. We know it's maybe cheap to do that, but we knew which side of the island was which, in a way, in our tone still.
Here it kind of borders on creepy with all these smiling stakes.
Yeah, I remember the sound guys putting like the sound of goats and little children when we were going, wait a second, guys, this isn't Silence of the Lambs or whatever.
Alex! Marty?
They were really fun to work with, these guys. Really creative.
Chris and Ben did a great job with the performances here.
This is a scene, though, where I remember we changed the dialogue in subtle ways, and Chris at the time was doing the Oscars at this, and he was really cramped for time. And I remember we actually he let us come to his hotel, and we set up a suite and recorded this stuff, and he did a really brilliant performance. And but there was a technical problem with the audio, and we had to animate the scene. We had to go back in with him after the Oscars, and the day after, I think. And
he said everybody else was calling to congratulate him, and DreamWorks called to say, "Hey, can we get you back in the studio?"
Yeah, and so he was great, And it's hard for they have to recreate their performances, luckily our actors are really patient and to the process, which can be very difficult, and sometimes that happens where you have to redo stuff.
And we see all these beautiful images on screen that the art department helps us realize. But the other side of that equation is the work that Philippe Gluckman and his team do to bring these artistic ideas to the screen in 3D, managing how all the effects look, how the surfaces look, how the light reacts with these objects. And it's a huge task, and Philippe and his team just done an incredible job, sometimes recreating almost exactly what was conceived in the artistic development process, and then taking things to new levels too, often in ways that surprised us. Sometimes we didn't think that maybe some things were possible, and we'd ask Philippe, and he'd sort of scratch his head and say, "Let me think about it." He'd come back the next day and say, "Yeah, we can do that." Beautiful backgrounds here. Dark, moody lighting, and the plants sort of blowing gently help contribute to the tone.
Little help.
And the animation here, it isn't as broad and wacky as some other scenes, and has a little more subtle. I think the animators did a great job of just pulling off these subtle moments and launch into action. This is another little bit we had to shorten for time, but Marty was pleading to the Fooses not to eat him because he had mad cow disease, and other Chris Rock kind of stand-up kind of routine as these Fooses were encircling him, but it ended up slowing down the action a little bit.
Foose halt!
Again, one of the things we discovered, which is very difficult, whipped cream. Let that be a lesson to everyone.
Massive undertaking again here with all these individual Fooses all have to be animated by hand. You can't just tell the computer to move these guys around, or it doesn't look natural. The whack-a-mole gag.
It's been a real pleasure serving with you boys.
Alex?
Amazing roar done by the sound effects folks.
It's very hard to get a real lion's roar discovered, because they don't really roar for very long. They do really short little blasts, so sound guys had to create one for us. One of the things that made Alex savage visually, his teeth used to turn sharp. We had this second set of teeth for him, but it really, really looked like alien. So we decided not to use those kind of teeth and keep them as normal ones. Usually teeth don't change anyway.
Man, you almost gave me a heart attack. You can't just come up here and sneak up on me just because you're lying. Look on me. Look on me.
We're getting out of here. Guys, let's go with me on this. Like I said, it's showtime.
I kill.
You're all mine.
You know, in just the sound editing and that H and those guys did. I mean, it's really amazing technically how this all works. I mean, with all these guys screaming on top of each other, and you know, they're all recorded separately. It takes a large amount of patience and editing to string all these vocal performances together and make it sound like everyone's working with each other. It's a little funny nunchucks bit that the animator put in.
Really shows off what we can do with the characters and how we can move them in this sequence. Our character TDs, or technical directors, are the ones that set these up so that they can be sort of pushed and pulled to such extremes. Robin Mullane and the others did a great job giving the animators the handles they needed to do this kind of over-the-top animation.
Rex Grignon was fantastic as animation supervisor, who kind of really pushed the animators and helped set the tone of the style of animation we were after. So we can't thank those guys enough. You never can in a film like this because there's probably 50 animators that contributed to this film whose work is seamless. I mean, every animator has his own shot, you know, and they run right next to each other. So it's amazing how, you know, continuous it all feels afterwards.
Rico! Hey! Open that hatch. Fire in the hole! Now chew!
We decided Alex could eat fish, since fish don't talk in our movie.
No, they're not.
You need all the fish you want.
Yeah, because a lion really can't. Possible for them to really live off vegetables and fruit. Have to have protein some way, so fish was our serendipitous kind of solution for that. You know, for Marty, we actually had teeth marks on his butt from where he was bitten, but in the computer it never looked right. It always looked really gruesome, either with little blood specks or little pink thing, and it just didn't look right. So the ultimate solution they came up with was a Band-Aid, which works out great.
Yeah, the story artists bring a huge amount of creativity to the table. They don't just get the script and draw what's on the page necessarily. They use that as a guide. And Catherine Rader and Rob Koo are two lead story artists and contributed so much original material. Much of what you see on screen was actually never in an original script sometimes. And Rob and Catherine are very much filmmakers in their own right as they take these script pages, just the written word, and turn it into cinema, along with their team of story artists.
The first performance, you know, is in the drawings as well. And so that's how you visualize this. And from there, everyone else kind of is inspired by the storyboard drawings, you know.
It's got a gecko on it. Look at him shake. Go, Stevie, go.
Crown is so small in Alex's hand.
Go, Stevie, go. Just went to town on that, so we put that in. The gecko on. That's correct. Yeah, to fit that crown on Alex's head was and do some funky things with it. Little tricks to make him be able to wear it. You can barely see it. It's so tiny. Let you know how big Julian is compared to Alex's head.
We got to this point, we realized that we needed to let everybody know that the monkeys were still out there.
They're still alive.
They're still okay. Back there toasting with tea and root beer.
You know, I wouldn't even mind coming back here for a visit sometime.
Phil smells his armpit and is down for the count.
We've heard that, you know, that we may be, you know, kind of telegraphing a sequel here by saying it's out of gas. We just thought it was a really funny joke. We had the boat sail off into the sunset at one time, but it seemed very typical.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Yeah, I like to move it.
So this is something at the end of production that there's some reuse animation, but a lot of it was just, you know, a lot of animators had some time and said, well, you know, what's your favorite character? And you want to make him dance? And, you have 7 seconds of dance time, and so these guys really worked extra hard, did these little great dance numbers with the characters, which kind of helps you through the titles. The titles on animated film it can be exhausting because there's so many people deserving of credit and so many people working on it. It's an amazing process, and as Eric said, that's why we have 2 directors. We could each work on with separate teams, but Eric and I could always get together and with Murray and kind of know the film we wanted to make, so it was easy for us to split up and divide and conquer that way.
And it sort of worked that way with producers as well. Murray would often be in one location, and co-producer Teresa Chang would be up at the production facility in Northern California, managing the production and all the folks and the schedules that were necessary. We did it in 2 locations. We have a DreamWorks campus in Glendale, California, and then one in Redwood City, California, about an hour plane ride apart. And a lot of high-end technology and video conferencing systems that allowed us to bridge that gap a little bit. And so often Tom and I would find ourselves in different locations, and Maria and Teresa would be.
Which was probably in a total of like a 4-year process, 4.5-year process of working on this film. The last third of it is actually in production with all the animators. And all these people come aboard and help create this thing. So it takes a long time to do one of these things. But when you see it all done, it's the work everyone else has done. It's really fantastic to see. So every one of these names that you're seeing is actually someone who contributed a great deal of time and creative energy on the film. So that's a lot of them.
And any one of them, is a tremendous artist in their own right who could go out and do beautiful work without Tom and myself telling them what to do. Now, our job really is what the name says. It's just direct people all in the same direction so that everybody's telling the same story. We're sort of caretakers of the story in that sense, to make sure that all this great creative work is servicing that main idea. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter how many polygons you have or how many people are in the crowd or how beautiful the images are if you don't have a story behind it all that people care about and characters that people love and care about what's going to happen to them next. We get to feature some of the great score work that Hans Zimmer and his team did here in these credits too. So it was great to be able to bring some of that music back in.
This is a great piece of music, and a lot of it underscores the film, but it's nice to hear it just clean like this. So.
This is when they were escaping from the zoo. Hans was trying to do New York sounding material, looking at Gershwin and trying to do his own version. And finally he said, "What am I doing? Anything I do will just be a cheap imitation of Gershwin. I'm going to come up with my own sound for New York City." And when he played this for us, it just gave us chills. We thought it was a great piece, a great way to underscore literally what they're doing when they're escaping in the streets of Manhattan. And I think there's a montage of Penguins music coming up soon. That was fun to work with too, to find that tone, that sort of, these guys are sort of this black and white mentality, the sort of 50s sensibility, and to find music that kind of helped sell that.
Originally we had crime jazz, which had a lot of bongos in it. So they latched onto that kind of retro detective music and added their own bit to it. A lot of people doing a lot of things. Here's some more. It's, you do these things on computers, but there's so much support for that, and these guys don't get, they invent ways to do new things, and make it so the art of computer animation can just keep expanding.
Yeah. I mean, much of the software we use is all written in-house and maintained by computer artists and programmers in-house, which makes it possible for us to do things that, frankly, would be impossible if we had to depend upon off-the-shelf software. So a lot of those names you see are helping us achieve those sorts of things, helping us departments communicate with one another. It's all about the pipeline in something like this. And the last thing you want is to have teams of people sitting waiting for inventory to work on. And so it's a monumental task to keep that flowing. And a lot of these people help with that as well. We come with our final little goodbye from Gloria. Well, it's been a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it.